How many people did he murder?
So yeah, I don't know. This is another trans person called Elenadarlingg. And this is, I transitioned 9 years ago. Here's 10 lessons I learned. I don't know. Let's see.
Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Elena, and as you've probably deduced from the title of this video and these pink kitty ear headphones, I am in fact a trans woman. I transitioned about 9 years ago now.
Best victim of moderation. Listen, any moderators would be they'd be the ones with like more of the rules than like the people actually chatting, if you know what I mean.
Back in 2015, and I thought that it would be fun to make a video that's like 10 lessons I've learned over the years after transitioning, or something to that effect. Are these the most important lessons? Perhaps not, but they're the first 10 that came to mind to me today. So let's just jump right in. Oh, and also, if stuff like this is your vibe, be sure to subscribe. I'll probably have some commentary type thing.
We'll suspend judgment, but subscribe to me. Subscribe to the Mary Chew. We do videos and streams and shit. If you like the stream, you should like the stream. Check out my links as well. You can support the channel. You can check out my music. You can join my Discord where you talk about stuff. Someone said it was kind of like YouTube chat, but it goes on longer. So yeah, there you go.
Things, life experience type things, general trans issue type things. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this yet. We'll see. Okay, so
I guess these videos are like vibe checks or something on my end. Because like, I don't know who this person is. They might be smart, they might be less so. They might be very indoctrinated, they might not be at all, who knows?
Jumping in with number one, which I do think that this is probably the most important thing when it comes to transitioning, or really just life in general, which is be your own best friend. Transitioning is a very singular experience, and if you are surrounded by people who are not trans, you will probably not encounter a ton of people who are able to give you life advice and...
As if you need... It's stupid people with the real issue. Of course, yeah. I don't know. Be careful on what trans people you get fucking life advice from, Jesus Christ. Sort of bloke walking down the street in those headphones. Yeah, you do. People wear all sorts now, I don't know. If that's what they want to wear, that's fine. It's not my kind of thing personally.
Advocate for you as well as you can. Not to say they don't care and love you, but it is very difficult to understand what being trans is like. And I've always said if I wasn't trans myself personally, I probably would not be able to comprehend everything that it encompasses and like how you feel in general. You're going to have to advocate.
This is true. It's actually very hard to explain quite a lot of stuff because some of it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I don't know.
Advocate for yourself. You're going to have to keep yourself positive. Transition can be really rough. It's very expensive. There's, a whole lot that goes into it mentally, socially, the whole ordeal. You have to make sure that you are there to be taking care of you. Nobody else is going to do that for you. Only you are. So keep that in the forefront of your mind. Try to eradicate any negative self-talk. Don't beat yourself up. Give yourself some grace. Gotta be your own friend. Number two, comparison is the thief of joy, my friend. The chances that you are going to be the hottest tranny at the ball, slim to none. And that's okay, because it doesn't matter. We are so obsessed as a society with beauty standards and...
For people attacking their kids, all I saw was the fact she has kids. People were saying, I'm sorry for your kids. I don't know whether, maybe she just mentioned she had a kid or something. And people were like, oh, I'm sorry for your kid having a father like you or shit like that. I think that's what I was seeing most of all. But I was skipping around a lot, so I probably missed some of it, like some of the context. But I mean, she didn't seem, from what I was looking at, to be doing anything to like warrant it. It was just people being like dickheads,
achieving this certain aesthetic and, doing all this, whatever, it doesn't matter. Of course, you can do your best to look good for you, but don't be out here trying to compare yourself to X, Y, and Z trans girl and think that you need to have these perfect little dainty Barbie feet and just look a certain way. It's not necessary. Find what works for you, do what makes you comfortable, be happy with your progress, and just try to be better than who you were the day before. But don't go comparing yourself to everybody else. What kind of life they live.
Fun mix I attract, fair enough. Listen, thanks for watching. Good to see you.
How they look, what they're doing. It doesn't matter. It's not relevant to you. Just do your thing. Because if you are constantly out here scrolling, looking at all these gorgeous trans women or just gorgeous women in general and comparing yourself to all of them because you're too tall or you're too broad or your skin isn't clear enough or whatever, you are going to feel horrible about yourself when you probably look fine. So don't do it. It's just not a fun thing to get into. Stay away from that. Number 3, navigating the medical field sucks. That's not going to change, so get used to it. Although the internet and the media make it seem like there are so many trans people all over the place and the medical field is so advanced and blah, 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 and they know all these things about the trans people.
The medical field really is not that advanced, trust me. I don't know what she's going to say. Let's see.
That really hasn't been my experience, and I've lived all over the country. Deep South, East Coast, West Coast, Midwest. And more or less, I've had pretty much the same experience everywhere. Primary care doctors willing to prescribe my hormones and keep my levels in check, but not really knowing anything about trans-related issues at all, or trans healthcare at all. They're just kind of like, oh, you need this medication? Okay, I'll continue giving you this medication. But if you need anything specialty-wise, you're going to have to seek that out. And good luck finding people who specialize in trans hormones. For the first time.
Yeah, good luck finding someone who specializes, and then it turns out they're in some kind of fucking cult. You know what I mean? Shit, I don't know what's worse, really. Like having a GP who's just kind of a bit clueless and does their best, or someone that knows a lot, but a lot of what they know is kind of filtered through an ideology, I guess.
Time in 9 years, I am just now seeing an endocrinologist that's like specifically deals with trans hormones. Trans hormone replacement therapy? I don't know. This isn't an eloquent video, sorry. So anyway, I'll be able to see them for the first time next month. So that'll be fun to maybe get some like in-depth answers when it comes to hormones. But no doctor that I've had has ever been like, this is the risk associated with them. These are all the things that they're going to do to you. Like, yada, yada, yada. I never got this full explanation.
See, where I went, I guess I was at the London clinic, and that's one of the more established ones. So they were actually quite good for like knowledge and stuff. It seems like the experience in the UK is very uneven, where instead of everyone being clueless, it's like you might go somewhere pretty good. You might end up going somewhere because you're elsewhere in the country where like the surgeon is like the guy that operated on Richie Herron, for example, which only happened a year after me. It's the same NHS, you know what I mean? So it's not even around these parts, I guess.
Our breakdown of them. It was, okay, your therapist says that you can be on these. Here you go. Have a good time.
Yeah, the problem with trans specialists can be, well, they adhere to like WPATH standards of care, which I have a lot of disagreements with. And I don't know, there's a lot more incentive to like trans people and keep the conveyor belt moving, just kind of affirm as many people at once as they can, sorry, not at once, but as many people as they can. And I don't see that as a good thing personally.
Time. So be prepared for that. Also, if anything goes wrong with your body and you go in, the amount of times my doctors have just immediately gone to, oh, it's probably your hormones, instead of, hey, it could just be that you're not sleeping enough or you're not eating enough or blah, blah, whatever.
Hey, here's a risk then, you know.
Whatever the issue is, they always go back to, it's probably...
I mean, my doctor that I have currently didn't seem to know anything about the effects of not being on hormones and being post-op, meaning your body doesn't create any hormones. Like they didn't really seem to consider the issues that I would have as someone like that back last year when I was having problems getting access to my hormones.
Probably your hormones. So be prepared for that, because sometimes it's just something really stupid and simple that's happening and they want to blame that. So be prepared. On a positive note, I will say every doctor I've come into contact has been very respectful. They've been very upfront and honest that they do not have experience in this field, that they would be more than happy to continue prescribing my hormones to me, and they'll do their best to provide insight and look over my blood work and everything as much as they can. So it's been a positive experience. It just gets a little bit strange or annoying when you go in for like a basic cold or something and they're like, well, those hormones. So like, I don't know. And be prepared for the lack of knowledgeable medical care providers.
Yeah, this person's very likable so far. They seem I don't know, down to earth. It's nice. Listen, I just kind of watch random people. I never know what they're like. If it's not something I disagree with much, I feel like it's not as interesting because I like disagreement. I like kind of friction, I guess. But like, I still want to show stuff like this as well. And like, so far, this is not objectionable to me, at least.
Do your own research. I learned everything I did online, which seems sus, but that's just kind of like what's happening. I don't know what to tell you.
It just really depends which sources you go to, I guess. It depends. Like, people go online because they're not going to meet trans people in their area. Like, there is a chance they'll end up indoctrinated in some cult. They might find some genuine advice, like, who knows? It really depends. And hey, it's very much the same with it depends which doctor you go to. You're going to get some that are shit and some that are good.
I didn't get, in-depth breakdown. Everything I learned about hormones, online.
Some of the least knowledgeable docs about trans health issues are the ones specializing in trans stuff. Yeah. Because they're too close to it, or the ideology gets in the way, or whatever it is. Because plenty of like W-path surgeons and shit like that, the ones affiliated with W-path are like trans themselves, Someone else did it to them, they're doing it to more people now.
Fine. Number 4, people are more curious than hateful. I would say that I pass 90% of the time.
This is like based, and like she looks good, like she looks a lot better than I do. But like the kind of jobs that I've done, apart from Weatherspoon, which even then wasn't that bad. Oh, see you later, kitty cat. Yeah, the kind of jobs that I did, apart from like Weatherspoon and shit, like I feel like people were just kind of normal and just treated me normally, and I made enough of an effort, I feel. No one seemed uncomfortable about the fact that I was trans. There was plenty of other stuff people might feel the need to worry about, because I have a lot of like mental health issues and I come across very crazy to some people. But like, for being trans, I really didn't get much like disrespect. It's like the odd person that will. And for the most part, people don't really give a shit, honestly. We're not like oppressed and like beaten down in this way. And I would love to see some of the experiences of these people that are kind of of that mindset, you know what I mean? Yeah, I want to hear a joke.
And in instances that
unless it's like my life or something, because that wouldn't be funny. Well, I might to other people.
I don't. Well, there's really only been one time where somebody has actively asked if I was like out in public. But even then, they almost never come from a hateful place. People are just genuinely curious. And as I mentioned before, the media and the internet make it seem like there are an abundance of trans people, and they're just all over the place in everyday life. And that's really not the case. It's kind of one of those things that people don't come across a ton, and it's interesting.
I feel like both people that are very like genuinely anti-trans and also trans people make it seem like there's a lot more trans people than there are. Not all trans people, some of them. The kind of woke types, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. Oh, how do you make a hormone refuse to pay? I know that one. That's a Charlie special, that one. Send me my number.
To them. I think that there's been a narrative that has come out over the last few years from certain trans influencers or people online that it's not our job to educate people. And I don't feel like it's my job to educate anyone, but I feel like there's nothing wrong with sharing my personal experience.
This is based, and I feel the same way. Like, when people are constantly like, oh, it's not my job to educate you, you end up just leaving people in ignorance a lot of the time. And then, for me, when people ask me questions, I just tend to answer because I'm just like that. I'm quite an honest and like candid person with a lot of stuff. Like, I don't really understand that attitude quite often where people don't want to educate anyone, but they want to be treated a certain way. They want to be called like Z0 or some shit. It's like, well, you're going to have to educate people on this shit because no one knows what it means and people don't say that shit. You know what I mean? If you haven't seen it already, check out film Southern Comfort about trans man with uterine cancer and a difficult time getting a... Oh shit, that sounds very depressing, but I should look into that. Thank you.
With life, if somebody is interested in getting to know what it's like, and I...
Yeah, exactly. Like, to me, like, explaining this shit to people can make them a bit more kind of, open-minded to it. Some people think that they're more closed-minded than they are because they just haven't had certain things explained to them in a certain way that makes sense.
I think that getting to know individuals really makes a difference on understanding people as a whole. So if someone's asking you about it, don't immediately take...
Sam, wasn't that the case for Richie Herron's doctor as well? Or like he retired almost immediately after that surgery anyway because he was so old or something like that?
It as an attack. I really don't understand this line of thinking because People asking questions or knowing that you're trans isn't a slight against you. You can be a proud trans woman, man, whatever, and people may just be curious.
You met Mr. Meno. Oh my god, hi Kia. Like, did you speak to him or just interacted with him? It's funny how I've seen Blair White interview a trans woman who escaped an African country, but I'm not aware of a trans leftist interviewing an oppressed trans person. I guess some of them do. I don't know. I see interviews, but I don't know what kind of people they are. Usually they're more kind of other white Western people, you know, much like someone like me. But yeah, there's a certain irony in it. And it's the same with detransitioners. You'll hear people talk about how much they care about detransitioners, and it's like, you know, we care about them, we respect them, but it's like, you know, it's very few of us and stuff. Like, shit. I don't know how awesome Kia and Mr. Meno talking is, because I think I saw some of the tweets earlier.
So take that how you will, but I don't know. I don't think that you should come at it as like people are trying to be hateful or slight you in any way. They may just genuinely want to understand.
Yeah, so many people treat it this way. It's so annoying. Like, when I ask questions, it's because I don't understand this kind of shit. And that's kind of genuine coming from me. People don't understand that I'm honest a lot of the time and just go on the attack straight away. It's just, I don't know, it's just really annoying. Like, why be like that? Why be so hostile to any kind of outside perspective?
Because they've heard about it on TV or online. And the way that trans people are portrayed in both of those spaces is, I don't think, the most realistic to how trans people act on a normal day-to-day basis. So be willing to share your experience if you want. And if you don't...
Yeah, no one should have to share their experience, of course, but I guess, I don't know, some people are so, like, defensive and, like, hard line about it, which sucks, you know?
I mean, at least be kind and don't assume that that person has, like, ill intent towards you. Because I really just don't think most people do. Okay, so lesson...
He sent his band after me, like, legal tweets did. Just a reverse of that. I should find... Was it, like, a video you said he did? Because I can't remember the tweets very well. Maybe I should watch it and see what I think of it. I don't know. But yeah, a lot of people act like that. I imagine when you get a following, it's very tempting to just like sickle your people on them. And these people must know that when you interact with them, you're likely to take some shit if you don't completely agree with them from a whole bunch of random people that isn't necessarily warranted. And it sticks a bit when it's someone like actual Jake, who has like gone on debates with people like Destiny, being like, oh, your community is so mean, like they're so horrible to everyone and shit like that. And then like sometimes when you disagree with someone like actual Jake, like so many of their followers will like shit all over you and stuff, and it's like, what the fuck were you saying to this other person? I think you should look at your own shit first, you know what I mean?
Number 5 kind of goes hand in hand with the previous one, which is just because someone misgenders you doesn't mean that they hate you. This could be people that know you already, which it's very difficult for them to make
I'm just searching something. I'm not like ignoring this person. This is a good video so far. I think they're quite smart, honestly, and quite realistic. And that's good. I would love to see more of this.
that switch of viewing you as a different gender, almost a different entity, but I feel like that would be a little dramatic. And then there is people that are just walking around in public, minding their business and their everyday lives, and 99.8% of the time, when they are judging or categorizing someone based on their secondary sex characteristics, they're correct on their gender. But when it comes to interacting with a trans person, you know, gendering people is subconscious. And I don't think that a majority of...
Oh, is it this one here? Maybe I should watch it. I don't know. I've got quite a lot of time right now. I have this gun tent shit. But this is like, I don't know, this is just pissing around. Like, I'm not expecting anything interesting or like intellectual from like an Alec Gunter video, you know what I mean?
People are out here intentionally trying to do it to hurt your feelings or, you know, put you down or anything like that. Does that happen? Absolutely. But in my experience, it never has. A lot of the time, if people do that, they're either apologetic, they didn't know they did something wrong in the first place, depending on how you're presenting, and they're willing to be corrected and be okay with it moving forward. They may still slip up, but there has to be a level of understanding and realism, especially when you first start out, that people are going to make mistakes and people may not always get it right. And it's nothing against you. It's not personal. And you shouldn't take it as an attack or become aggressive in any capacity.
God, this person is just so right about this. I don't know. Listen, like I said, just sitting here agreeing with someone doesn't feel much like something interesting to watch. But I don't know, like sometimes it's like that. You know what I mean? Not every trans person is fucking insane. Like lots of us on the internet are, unfortunately, but and I can't necessarily say that I'm not, you know what I mean? Alec Gunter followed you on Twitter. I didn't know he was on Twitter. Maybe I should go find him. I don't know. I was trying to set something up with him, but I kind of was quite slow replying to him about something. And so I think he's doing the same back, which is fair enough. I get it. I get it. I'm not very good at replying to people sometimes. I can't really shit on other people that are, even if it's like Alec Gunter or something.
Because as much as the internet and the media like to blow up and inflate, there's trans people everywhere, there's just an army of them, we're swarming the country, like it's not real. And a majority of the people that you meet have probably never met a trans person that they actually knew was trans.
Gay people are sensitive about having surrogacy. Oh, how so?
So that is something to keep in mind. Instead of it being something where you get super aggressive and upset, have some thick skin, be comfortable with who you are as a person. There is nothing wrong with being trans.
Yes, absolutely.
It is just a very unique and individual experience, and be willing to have a conversation with that individual. And
I guess because gay people might feel like they kind of rely on it to have kids.
And having a sense of humor doesn't hurt either. But seriously,
I can see why people are. I don't know if I've fallen on a certain side of it. I need to look more into it ultimately, but I don't know. Like, are there not enough kids out there that need adopting? Maybe is the argument. It's a bit selfish in a way. And I'm not sure. I'll look into it one day.
Seriously, don't take it personally. Don't let it ruin your day. It is just a part of the journey. And as you get further into transition, having more surgeries, or being on hormones longer, or dressing in a better way for your body type, these are all things that could potentially help you pass more in the future. And you may get misgendered less. And if you don't, then that is also okay. This may just be a part of your story. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think being able to respond to it.
Most like trans people, I think, get to a certain point where they just can't really pass any better. I don't know how long this person's been kind of doing it. Maybe they're very genetically fortunate because they look good to me. She looks good. Sorry, I need to stop saying they. Oh, they've only done a handful of videos as well. So I guess advice kind of stuff. Honestly, like someone like this as this kind of resource is infinitely better than half the shit I've watched. Like 1.25k subscribers, you compare it to like watching a Jammy Dodger video, like 1.12 mil or whatever. You know what I mean? Fuck. It's depressing sometimes.
In a healthy, positive, and meaningful.
There's a John Oliver episode 9 years ago. Yeah, I wonder how much I'd compare it to like seeing old ContraPoints videos where she says a lot of stuff that was kind of true then, like things like being born in the wrong body being like metaphorical language and not literal. And she's right about it at the time, but it's like changed a lot since. But yeah, maybe I should find that at some point.
Full way is going to do a lot more for you versus shutting down, getting super upset with whoever you're dealing with, whatever. We cannot control the outside world. We cannot control how people treat us. The only thing we can control.
Yeah, having a child with your DNA. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm very kind of open to things like adoption. I think that kind of thing should be considered first, if that makes sense.
Is how we respond. And I think responding with an element of class and kindness is the best way to go about it. Because
yes, dignity, have a bit of dignity. I can't really talk about dignity, but I'm fucking past that point. That's fine. There's still hope for other people. Dignity, have a bit of dignity.
Why not? What's the point? That's so much energy to get upset and, let it ruin your day over someone making a mistake. Or if they're doing it intentionally, just being an ass. Ignore them. Move on with your life. Number 6 is less heavy and more just kind of a duh thing, which is transitioning is expensive. So you should start saving like yesterday. And if you're not great with financial literacy, I suggest learning because the world is expensive also in itself. So having the money to pay for doctor's appointments, therapy appointments, clothes, hormones on a regular basis, everything else, you're going to need some cash dollars. So pick up a side hustle, keep working at getting better at your job, whatever you have to do, you are going to have to save money. Don't even get me started on surgeries.
Listen, we were talking about a trans woman getting an awful lot of hate for what seemed like basically nothing just now. Like, I'm glad the comments seem very kind of cool on this, quite honestly. What kind of views did we get? 3.8. Hey, you know, fair enough.
It's like, I have no...
Like, someone... Sorry, I do that all the time. I pause and then unpause and then pause again. But, like, someone made a point, something like... Fuck, what was it? I've forgotten now. But yeah, something about finding other videos that weren't very helpful and, like, finding this a lot more relatable. Like, that's kind of how it is for a lot of us. Like, we see this kind of trans media that just seems crazy and seems very bitter against certain kinds of people, like cis people, for example. And finding someone a bit more, like, mature and, like, actually seems to use a brain. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ. I know how that person feels, because there hasn't been much media that I've been able to find that has been like this, that has been relatable to me and that feels down to earth and like someone who's actually thinking about the shit that they're saying and isn't sucked into some insane fucking cult of thought.
Never had a surgery before, but I have looked into them, and there's a reason why I haven't gotten any, okay? They're a lot, and I don't know, there's just so many other things that I want to spend...
Oh, are you saying that, Ginger Blaze? Are you saying, am I going to get an autoimmune issue? Hey, I might do, I don't know. My partner has a autoimmune thing, but it runs in a family, I don't know. Why am I talking about that?
Money on. So I've just kind of accepted how things are, because so much money, so much. But seriously, start saving. Number 7, nobody cares about you transitioning as much as you do. So be mindful how much you're talking about it to other people. I know in the beginning, God, my friends and family must have been so annoyed, because for me...
How often do you think someone comes out as trans and then it becomes their entire personality, and like friends and family end up feeling like they don't recognize them anymore because it's like, oh, you used to be interested in that, this, that, and the other, and now you just always talk about trans shit. I wonder how often that happens.
I had spent so much of my life miserable. I was just obviously unhappy with who I was, what I was dealing with, the gender dysphoria, the whole deal, that being able to openly talk about and be okay with the fact that I was finally transitioning, it was kind of like an obsession, almost, I could say, because I was so focused on, oh, I'm doing all these things to be happier, you know, blah, blah, that like everybody else was getting an earful.
Oh, hi, Ham Popper. Yeah, we're going for a little while longer. It's a late stream. Good to see you.
They were hearing about what the hormones were going to do to me, the surgeries I was going to get, you know, names I was thinking of, what I was going to wear, like all this stuff. And ultimately, they just wanted me to still be who I was. But a lot of the hobbies and things I was doing on the regular...
See, I think I know what she's going to say. And like for me, I would like to think I didn't change that much personally. I think my personality was already quite strong. And I think I was already quite a unique kind of person, I guess, because it's difficult to have the kind of stuff I have up with me and not be somewhat singular, I guess. So I don't think I really changed. I mean, you know, when I first talked to my mum about it, the first person that I spoke to about this kind of thing, like, I wanted her to know that, like, I'm not a different person now and shit. Like, I'm still myself, and I'm gonna grow and change irrespective, you know, because that's what people are supposed to do. Not everyone, unfortunately, does, but it's what people are supposed to do.
Kind of fell away as I began obsessively doing this like research, consuming, you know, trans videos and blah, blah, whatever.
Yeah, so I think she actually kind of fell down the pipeline a bit more than I did, but I'm gonna guess it kind of didn't last.
So just keep that in mind. I get it. It's very exciting, but it's going to be the most exciting for you. So share a little bit with people, but be mindful about...
It's actually based. Like, I didn't speak much about my transition during the time. Like, I had some pictures I put up and, like, drug-induced statuses and stuff when I was getting my surgery and stuff, but I didn't talk about it very much. I don't know. It's not my personality. It's just part of who I am. And it doesn't even need to be a big part of who I am. It's just, this is what I look at now. So, I don't know.
How much you're talking about it, because ultimately, your friends are probably going to get tired of hearing it. I'm just saying. Okay, so number 8 is dating. Men are going to have no problem sleeping with you. They will, however, have
I have no experience in this whatsoever. I don't date men. I'm not attracted to them, but I can imagine this. I mean, I've heard it from other people.
Many problems being seen with you in public. Prepare yourself. I can't speak for the opposite side of the spectrum. I have never dated women, so I don't really know how that would go.
Like, as long as you're not persistent with women, if you're on a dating site and you message someone and they're not interested because you're trans, just move on. Be upfront about it, and that way people will see, they'll be able to tell if they are going to be interested in you or not based on that. We don't have to waste each other's time and shit like that. I don't have any pride around like people thinking I'm a woman, so it's just kind of easier. Introduced to YouTube channels. Yeah. Like, it's just kind of how it happens, because I watch random stuff and I'm like, oh, the title sounds interesting to me, and I want to see what direction they put it in. And some people come on these cameras and talk absolute bollocks and lie about all kinds of shit. And some people are actually like smart, because that's just kind of how people are. I mean, most trans people out there that aren't on the internet all the time, they're probably like fucking out there working and shit. That was me for like a decade. You know, I was kind of a slow bloomer, and then when I did start working, I was like quite solid for a long time. And yeah, a lot of them are just normal people. Like I know a trans person from around here who's like really sound and feels similarly to how I do. They haven't obviously gone to the fucking extent that I have. And she's just like a normal person who fucking works and shit, you know what I mean? I think that's what most anyone is. You don't see like the silent majority when you're on the internet, because it's all insane fucking useless people like me, I guess. But hey, you get the odd one that's like smart, and you get the odd one that does it kind of as a side thing maybe. They do other shit, and usually those ones are like way more reasonable and realistic. Like, I think probably a problem for some trans people that get kind of radicalized and shit, they only really spend any time around other trans people, other queer people or whatever. Whereas when you spend a fair amount of time around general people, like the general population, I think you just get a much more realistic, like, perspective. And all this, like, radical shit is unrelatable, because people talk about how awful cis people are constantly, and I'm just like, I just don't really have that experience. Most people are perfectly respectful. Most people don't honestly give a shit that I'm trans, you know. I get the odd person that makes a funny comment. It's like, is that the end of the world? Am I that hard done by in my life, you know?
Go. I will say that there are plenty of very great men out there who are very willing to date and even marry trans women. I've been married for 8 years now, so it is possible.
Oh wow, good on you.
And it is out there. But to have some realistic expectations, and also know what you want out of it. Even cis women are dealing with the...
Yeah, you don't want to be one of those trans lesbians that wants to literally be your girlfriend or some shit. Like, don't live vicariously through someone else. Like, that's fucking strange. And like, you see some of these like older men that get into transitioning and they like start trying to look like their partners, and it's just, it weirds me out.
The trials and tribulations of dating in today's society. So don't beat yourself up, because your experience will probably be pretty similar to theirs, which is men on dating apps there's something. Okay, there's something. So just know what you want out of it. If you want to hook up...
Listen, this is a generalization I appreciate, but it's kind of true. Like, I've been on both sides. Like, it sucks being a man on a dating app, because it's just hard to get anyone's interest. But at the same time, like, when you're a woman, you're getting shit tons of messages from all sorts of people. And a lot of them clearly are not very good at making conversation. Maybe I can't talk, but like, I usually don't just, I'm not normally just like, hi, and they respond and I'm like, I'm fine. And it's like 3 words is a lot of words to use, you know what I mean? Like, some people are just like that, and it's just like, Jesus Christ, this is why women end up ghosting so many people. And it feels bad to say, because they end up probably ghosting some pretty alright people, or like ignoring them because, I don't know, maybe they expect a certain thing, and if they'd have not expected it, they would have found that this person's actually different, but they didn't. So, you know, it's tough. Online dating sucks, but then I met my partner through it, so hey, it kind of works sometimes, I guess.
Up, cool. I guarantee it'll be the easiest thing in the world for you to do. You want to date somebody? You want to go to the Red Lobster? That's going to be a little harder. So just be upfront with who you are, be upfront with what you want, and be prepared to move on quickly, because there's just no need to end up in a situationship where you're kept in a dark, dusty closet while they're out living their lives, lying to everybody about what they like. Number 9. So this kind of goes hand in hand with number 1, be your own best friend. But I think number 9 should be its own thing, which is allow yourself some grace. And what I mean by that is the more years go by after you start living full time and you've transitioned and everything, you're going to look back at the clothing and makeup decisions that you made.
Listen, one day my Discord is going to get some old Mary, you know what I mean? Like looks from back in the day. There's been some crazy ones. I've looked insane most of my transition. Like most of the time on stream, I actually look pretty normal. I look weird today because I got bored. I was waiting for a video to render, shit, whatever, you know. But like, sorry, let me just get what she said again.
You're gonna look back at the
Yeah. I'll drop some at some point. Like, there's some interesting ones for sure. Like even like my Instagram is like public and stuff. If you look back far enough, you'll see some bizarre fucking looks, especially with eyebrows. It took me a long time to, even now, like my eyebrows aren't amazing, but they're a lot better than they used to be. So hey, it's a process. You have to make a lot more effort. And you have to work on your appearance a lot more if you're a male trying to live like a woman, you know what I mean? Trying to live as a woman and be perceived as one. So it's a process and you'll probably look like shit for years. And then after a certain amount of time, there really is not much further you can go. Maybe you can get surgery, but not everyone can afford it, you know, like facial surgery or whatever. Like you gotta understand that it just is what it is.
Clothing and makeup decisions that you made. Or just how you can.
The other thing is, by the way, it doesn't seem to be portrayed this way by a lot of people, but after a while, being trans just gets mundane and it's just another part of who you are. It's like, I don't know, it's like being like gay or someone who fucks men as a man, if you're Sam, you know what I mean? You know, it's just a fact about you, you know what I mean? It's not really that interesting. I mean, I had surgery a long fucking time ago and it's just not interesting to me anymore. I can wear leggings without covering my crotch area with anything else. And that's kind of all I really notice, honestly. And even then, all of it just gets mundane. It's just part of who you are after a while.
Conducted yourself in general, and you're going to feel some type of way about that. So just be willing to learn. Be willing to explore different facets of fashion, different kinds of makeup, different, aesthetics that you keep around you or apply to you. Just be willing to understand that you are going.
Oh, Sarah, what you're saying, you'd need to supplement. Yeah, for an orchiectomy. I don't know what an oophorectomy is. So still stuck needing... Oh, oophorectomy is over... What is it called? Ovaries. Yeah, there we go. So still stuck needing HRTs to rely on a pharmacy's healthcare system. Yeah, it's very much like that. Like, I will take estrogen, like HRT, as far as I know, for the rest of my life. Or I can end up getting, like, what's it called? Osteoporosis, brittle bones, stuff like that.
To have to explore these things. Cis women typically get to go through this exploration phase in their teenage years. Most of us will not have that same luxury. You kind of need to put together things pretty rapidly, which there are so many sources on YouTube when it comes to, fashion choices and everything like that. So do your research. That can definitely help you avoid some silly mistakes, but just be prepared. Also, looking back at like old pictures of me is hilarious. And it's important to remember that, like, you're doing your best, okay? Like, it is what it is. You may not look great in the beginning, and that's okay. It's a learning process, all right? And last but not least, number 10, which is don't make being trans your whole life.
Oh my God, based. I think she said something similar to this earlier, but yeah, true. And I was saying something about it earlier as well. Like, it's important to have a personality already. It's important to already have an identity and not be looking for an identity. Like, you shouldn't go looking for some kind of identity and find trans and jump onto it. It should be something that's just who you are. You should already, like, I started when I was 25 in 2015, which I think is the same time this person started, so that's kind of crazy. But like, yeah, I mean, I was already into music. I've been making music a really long time. I was already into like music production and playing guitar and singing and stuff. I had other interests besides, like, I didn't immediately like forget all of that and I'm just trans now, and what I talk about is trans things and what I do is trans things, you know what I mean? Let's see what she says.
I'm probably going to make a whole video about this topic in itself, but I have
Yeah, maybe I should check it out if it happens. I don't know. Like, again, I don't want to watch too much stuff that I just agree with the whole time, but it's random stuff. And hey, I'm not trying to portray the trans community in a certain way. I'm trying to portray what I watch honestly.
I've spoken with and watched videos online of trans women going through all of the surgeries that they wanted, getting to a point where they have completed transition, there is nothing left for them. And they kind of feel like they have like a void inside them now. They have nothing that they're working towards, because when you start...
I've really not heard of this kind of thing before. I guess, I don't know, where I haven't had many trans friends that I've really been open with and shit like that. Not just music, some transy punk break social norms wearing makeup music. Yeah, of course. I mean, that's literally what I do. I don't know. Everyone tells me anyway.
Start off, there is this super long checklist of things that needs to be done, right? You need to find a therapist.
Actually, no, being realistic for a second, I just whine about my feelings and make my guitar sound not like a guitar. That's what my music is, basically.
You need to find a doctor. You need to get on hormones. You need to change your name. You need to do this, blah, 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 blah. Like, the list goes on forever. And it can be a super long process before you feel like you're done. But it's important to remember that this is just a facet of your life. And there's so much more to you than just being trans. Keep your hobbies, keep your friends, keep going out, keep developing who you are as a human being. Because at the end of the day,
Yeah, why does it feel like so many people just stop? Like, how many people do we watch on here that have been streaming for like years? Like, I don't know, someone like Xanderhal, for an example. Does it feel like they've grown and become smarter over time? Or does it feel like they kind of stopped at a certain point? Maybe even before they started streaming, let's be real. And then that's it, and they just know everything now. Like, I don't know why people seem to stop developing. Like, I can't imagine thinking to myself, I don't need to improve anything about myself, because of course I do. I can't imagine that kind of mentality, but it seems like so many people, I don't want to say so many people. It seems like there's quite a few people out there who just kind of stop at a certain point. Maybe it's when you get a certain amount of success, who fucking knows? But I don't know. I can't imagine ever thinking that I don't need to continue improving myself and continue like improving the way I think about things as well, which again is like sitting here and talking about stuff like this has been very helpful for that.
These transition related things that you are engaging in will eventually end. Outside of regular doctor's appointments and you just going to pick up your hormones, there's not really going to be anything else for you to do. So you better hope that you don't make this your entire life, because if that...
Well, no, just be an activist. They all seem very happy and very centered and very realistic with their goals. That's a joke. Fuck those people. And I'm glad this person doesn't evoke that kind of shit, quite honestly.
That's all you have. When you're done, you might be a little bit sad. I have always said that being trans is probably the least interesting thing about me, because there's so
Same.
many other ways I would describe myself.
And to me, I feel that way about things like mental health and stuff, and like my experience in life. Like, I've had some difficulties, and I always do. I always have, and I always will. But really, it's not about being trans. That's not why I have issues. You know what I mean? Like, being trans is like the easiest shit that I have to deal with. If it's something that I have to deal with alongside, things like mental health issues and, fallouts from things that have happened in my life and stuff. Like, being trans is like nothing, really. It doesn't have to be this source of like misery and this feeling that you're like so fucking put upon and the world hates you and stuff, and fuck, it's difficult.
First,
suicidal tendencies once the vacuity hits. I need to think more about that, because again, this is something I just don't really know much about. I don't know what happens to the kind of people that this person is describing, you know what I mean? Because it's not me. And I just haven't really been close friends with like many trans people at all. I can imagine people that end up like that because again, to me, it becomes mundane. It's not exciting anymore after a while. It's like a relationship. Like, you have to, this is why I hate people treating it disposably, because you have to live with it for the rest of your life. And it's going to become mundane, just like living with your partner. You're not going to have that honeymoon fucking period your whole life. And things are difficult sometimes, and things are just kind of boring a lot of the time. You know what I mean? Like, that's just how it is. And you should be able to be happier with who you are and just get on with your life. That's the whole point. The amount of effort to progressively lose the euphoria as a cost mentally. Yeah, I can imagine, yeah.
Than just saying that I'm trans. So just keep that in mind. There is nothing wrong with it being a part of your identity. Of course, I think that every trans person should be proud to be who they are and be okay and comfortable and love themselves. But at the end of the day, if it is your entire personality, it's all you talk about, it's all you want to engage in, I just don't see how that could be fulfilling or really all that great. But anyway, that is all I have for you. That was all 10 of the lessons that I thought of today that I've learned over the last few years. Hopefully it provides you a little bit of insight, and let me know if you agree with anything I said. If you disagree with anything I said, I'm down for either or in the comments. I love hearing people's opinions, even if they don't line up with my own. So feel free. If you like this video, be sure to give it a like and do the subscribe thing and all that jazz. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.
Okay, so that was elenadarlingg with 2 G's. She seems really cool. Yeah, good video. Nice, like it.